Let's get started. Chrigel needs very little introduction, but for those of you new to the scene, his conquests include winning the Red Bull X Alps an incredible 6 times, winning the PWC or Paragliding World Championship 3 times, and dominating virtually every single other race that he has ever entered in of every type. So without further ado, welcome Chrigel to the West Coast Soaring Club, and sorry for waking you up at 5:30 your time. And thanks for joining us from Switzerland. How are you feeling?
Thank you very much, James. Yeah, it's a pleasure to be online here for you, and I already try to be as awake as possible, but it should be okay. Yeah, thank you to make it possible tonight. I like to share also, my experience, and so if we can talk to tonight, for you, it's okay. I can start with some presentations, show you some pictures, explain you a bit what I did, and for this you need to give me that I can share my screen, I think. Okay, yeah, I grew up in the Swiss Alps in Adelboden. It's a small village in the Alps. Maybe you know it from the ski race. There is a famous chain slalom, and for me it's a luck because when I grew up, the people they was in the mountains was mountain guides, or they go skiing. So for me it was close to stay with them. And also my father was one of the guides. They start to paraglide in 86. So for me paragliding was already known when I was very young. So it was the time when the paragliding sports came in to Switzerland, and then I had to wait until I was able to learn to fly. So the minimum age at Switzerland, it's 15, and this took me a hard time until I was able to start. Afterwards, I went for a job. I was learning bricklayer, and I was working for 2 years on the job. So it means in total 5 years. But I started to fly more and more, and finally I was able to compete in the competitions like PWC and World Championship. And this gave me the option to change to advanced paragliding to work as a test pilot. And then I was a really intense time from 2000 to 2012 when I flew a lot, and I flew almost all competitions over the years. I spent 25 weeks in a competitions, and finally with the family it starts in 2008. I got 2 boys, and then it starts to be a bit more calm, and I was less traveling, staying more at home and preparing for the adventure races. And this was since 2009 my big adventure, the hike and fly competitions. In 2012 I started to be self-employed, so my job was the competition, the sponsoring, the media work, but also to transfer my experience. I made personal trainings and tandem flights, and with this I look for my boys. When I start, I remember that I was really fascinated with this option that I can fly. So I saw the bird, and I was really dreaming to do it like this. And I was not able to fly, but my mother was building by herself a small glider. It was this one, and with this glider, it was not a glider; it was just a kite. And I was not able to fly, but I was able to play and to feel that it's really a big fascination. So it starts already when I was 4. And when I went to the flight school, and I got the license, and then I really thought, now I can fly. But as you know, after the license, you don't know how it works. So I was wondering why the others can go more high or more fast or more far, and I was really interested to learn better how it works, this sport, because I also made some mistakes and I felt immediately that it's really a dangerous sport. So if I want to be safe, I also have to be good. So it starts to be thinking in this way. I have to learn. And I was really lucky because in Switzerland we have the competition league, the Swiss league, and we have several of competitions organized during the year, and I was able to take part of them, and immediately I was together with the world best pilots, and this was a big chance to me to learn. Finally, I was close to my dream. I flew above my home, and sometimes it was hard because there was not good days, but the other days there was really good, and I really enjoyed that it's possible to fly with a paraglider, even high or in extreme situation like in aerobatic flights. And the differences of this sport gives me so much, and I do paragliding since 22 years now. I fly around 200 until 400 hours a year, and it's still not over. So especially when we have really good days in summer, then we have the possibility to fly very high. This is one of our famous glaciers we have. The glaciers are smelling, but this is the biggest one, Alash Glacier. It's up to 4,000 meters, these peaks, and that was high above. So it's one of my favorite day, which is sure that it's not usual. This was a really special day, but I was really enjoying it because it was possible. And this shows me exactly what we can do with the paraglider. We can try to catch the good weather or to make a nice flight, but we also have to accept if it's not possible, and then we not have to push or to risk too much. Finally, it's still my goal to fly as good as possible, to learn how to work with my glider, with my different gliders. I have competition glider like here. I have Hicks Alps hike and fly glider. I have different gear, but it's also interesting how the different wings work and what I can do with these wings. This is the very small lake, and behind you see the famous mountains Eiger, Mönch, and Jungfrau. So that's the famous Eiger north face, where the mountain climbers go on this. For me, it's possible to climb on top, but not on the steep face. I prefer the soft route in the back. Yeah, so looks if Switzerland is sunny and perfect. For me, it's also interesting to spend my experience to other people. I tried to do this with the X-Alps Academy in 2018. We start with the X-Alps Academy, so it means we have the Swiss League on one side, we have some marathon running groups on the other side in Switzerland, but we had nothing which is made for building up hike and fly athletes. So we made this academy to learn together how it can works. And since 2018, I pushed this, and it's a good groove. It's a good. We have several trainings and go for hiking, for running, for flying, whatever, depends of the weather. And this is one of my motivation. I spend a lot of energy now. On the other side, we have difficult situation all around the world with the corona. So sometimes it's not a big motivation to do anything, but I compare the situation with the situation I had often in the flights or for here, it's a picture when I did the X-Alps race. And it means it's a typical situation. It not looks nice. It's time to stop. It's time to go home, but I'm in the race. I want to reach Monaco. And I know from this experience that somewhere I can continue. And it's really important now to feel to continue to push on, because if we push always a little bit, we will reach a goal. And this makes me, as an athlete, as a self-employed father, really alive. So to push, to still continue. And so I come to the X-Alps race because maybe the most of you know me because I did this race since 2009. I know the race since the beginning, since 2003, when it starts at the glacier in the East Austrian Alps and it ends in Monaco. My friends was competing and I was just shocked at what they do, because in the air I can follow them, but on the road or on the hikes up to the takeoffs, I was so slow. I was 90 kilo in this time, 2003, 2004, and I was not able to walk at all. But I was really fascinated because of this long trip along the Alps. At the beginning, the race was 600 kilometer, and this was the route we have had 2019. So 8 years later, 8 editions later, and it was already 1,100 kilometers. We had several turn points or checkpoints, the red points we had to meet. On some we had to be on the place. On the others we just had to fly or to walk through. Yeah, the route was a lot of zigzags, so it makes it even more difficult to cross the Alps from the north to the south and back because of the height. In June 2019 there was a lot of snow, but finally it's exactly the challenge everybody likes, or all the teams likes, how we can manage with the weather we have to go as fast as possible to the goal, to Monaco. Finally we did it. I did the race 2009. Every 2 years it takes part, and it's for me the 7th edition this year. And I know that it's a hard time, these 2 weeks, but if I can enter in a good shape when have a good preparation, then I know everything is possible. And it's what James said at the beginning. I need you as a supporter, and it's at the moment it's more difficult to find sponsors to have a easy preparation time. It's not so easy as the years before, but I'm sure that it will work, because we will push and fully motivated to go in. Finally, we have the situation that we go to make something. I mean, this X-Alps, it's more an adventure than a race. For sure, it's the fastest will win, like in a race, but compared to a normal race, you don't know what's the next days or what's the next hours brings, and it's really interesting to learn in the preparation how to deal with these situations. Normally we go to a place we don't know. We have to watch where we are and what we do next. We accept a little bit, because of the forecast, what the weather will bring and what maybe we can do. But it's always very difficult, and it's always, every step it's a new step, and it's always this unknown situation. And I think that all the the athletes, they do the race, they really like this situation. Otherwise, it's too hard, it's too stressy. But for us, it's also now 4 months before the race, really interesting what we can do, what we can prepare to be flexible, but that we can move on with a good feeling. Finally, I thought a sentence when somebody says that being confused is the best state for an expert to be in. And at the beginning, I was not understanding well, but my friend and supporter, Thomas Törrier, he's a psychologist, and he says, okay, if you don't know what to do exactly, then we do the right moves to inform us or to learn how it works. And this sentence helps me really to ask myself, okay, what I do next, to be sure. So always when I feel a bit uncomfortable, I know that I'm in the right mood. So it's also before a takeoff maybe. That's why the picture, when I don't know exactly if everything is right, maybe I can have a double check, ask a friend, or check the wind, or ask myself what really I want to do. And this gives me a more clear option or view what I really do now. So it's a small sentence that can help really to change my mindset and give me a good feeling. Finally, we made analysis. Already I did 6 times the Red Bull X Alps and 3 times the X Peer. So I have quite a lot of meters, and the average performance in a day, we walk for the morning at 5. Normally it starts and it runs until the evening at 10:30. So it's 16 to 17 and a half hours a day. So it's a long day. So walking is not too fast, but it covers in average 3,600 meter uphill and 50 kilometers hiking on the flat and in the hiking trails. And in the average, I was able to fly 6 hours every day and cover 150K. So there was for sure some flights, they are very short and hard work, but there was also some flying twice a day and cover 220K. It was really depends of the weather and where I was able to fly. And for sure, it's also a big luck to have a good flight, because I know it's much more efficient than walking on the roads. For the preparation now, I do a lot of training to be ready for this daily performance, because if I'm not ready or my body is not ready, I will disappear and get pain and problems, and then it's not fun. So I spend in a week around 15 hours, and I do in the winter more training in a gym to get muscles. The muscles are also covering my legs to be more strong and get less problems. This I do 1 to 2 times in a week, half an hour to 1 hour, depends I can do. But I try to start in November and then pushing hard in December, January. And now I switch more over to the enduring training, I mean running and ski touring, mountaineering, but also biking. And with this, I try to be after ready to walk for the long times in the X Alps. The hardest part, it's not to climb to the takeoffs. My backpack, I have to carry, it's 8 to 12 kilogram, and for me it's even more hard to walk on the flat. So it's funny that it is like this, but I had to learn this as well, because as long as I walk uphill, I just have to push, but it's not really painful after. But to walk on a road on the flat, then it's not hard at the moment, but after a while, after 2-3 hours, it starts to be really hard and painful for the legs, and this needs more recovery time. And especially for this walks on the road, we really have to train before a lot of kilometers. Actually, I do a lot of ski touring. Ski touring I really like because it's the descent is like flying. If the snow is good, it makes it really fun. If the snow is bad, I do ski and fly. So walk up with skis and fly down. Finally, as a team, we do a lot of training together to know how we work, how the race can be. And we already did a lot of hours and a lot of races together with Thomas, but it's always good to learn again how it is and how it works. We also bring in new material. The glider is one part. The glider will arrive in a month because all the gliders used in X-Alps, they have to be certified, and the certification have to be done in the beginning of March. Also the harness and the rescue and the helmet must be certified to have a good standard in the race, and to that the organization knows everything is safe. And for me, it's also important to choose the good material to walk, the cloth and the shoes. I bring around 6 to 8 pair of shoes for the race, and depends which ground. I choose different shoes. Also for the flat, I bring 3 pair of shoes because on the flat, as I told before, it's a really hard load, and it's good to have the possibility to change, to have different load on the foot. It looks like this when we come back from a training run. Flying back together, it's always good fun. Flying, it's an emotional sport, and if we can do this together, then it's even more nice. I need to fly also, or I like to fly also acro, especially now in the winter time. We can go up by cable car, can cover 5 to 10 flights a day, and to fly acro, it's always good fun. For me, it's also important to have the skills to feel even more better to fly into the terminal. It's for sure not the same sport. It's not the same glider, but it gives me the good reaction, the good feeling after. When I do a lot of acro flights, I feel better after in cross country too. And yeah, flying in the winter, it's not so nice because of the cold. Normally it's no thermals. If there are some, we have to be good protected against the cold. But it's good fun also, the snow, because you can go more close to the ground. It means you can see better where is your limits. For example, to fly in full speed, you can fly very close to the ground, and you feel much better what's the reaction of the glider because you're so close. And if once you go too close, it's not a problem because you have the snow as a protection. This is my daily business I do now, training my body, and if possible, if the weather is good, I go for flying. But the main part of flight training I set to the springtime, especially because the weather comes better, and also I have to refresh my feeling short before the race. I try to fly more hours and more flights, testing in different areas what I can do. Now it's more playing around and trying to be more precise with my glider. Also, for example, if there is strong wind, the takeoff techniques and the landing techniques to land very precise. This I can train very good in the winter, so I can have a good preparation to be ready in spring to fly well. Okay, this was 1 week ago. Then it was raining a lot here in the Swiss Alps, and now it's already green in the bottom because the snow was melting. And yeah, I was really happy to have the snow until February. I don't know how it's the snow in Vancouver.
Yeah, Chrigel, we're actually lucky enough on the West Coast to not get much snow. Basically, just on the mountains here a little bit. But we're one part of Canada that we're like the tropical part of Canada. We don't really get any any snow on the ground, but certainly in the mountains and around. And one of our biggest flying sites is Pemberton. And Pemberton is there's some 2,500 meter mountains there, which is our biggest local site, and it definitely gets some, but nothing compared to the Alps. And that the pictures of you ski touring is like pretty impressive. Those heights we don't have much of around here.
Yeah. Cool. Yes, this was a short introduction. I hope it shows a bit what I did and how the preparation works for the next race. I would say it's still 4 months, but time is running, and I have also planned some competitions. I mean, ski touring competition in the winter. Actually, they are cancelled because of the COVID, but I hope to start the competitions in March, April. In April, May, there are also hike and fly competitions. It's good to have the real test, the real training, also with the team, to know exactly how it works. Or you never know exactly because always it's different, but the goal is to have a good feeling, to be good prepared, and to be ready for the long race.
So this is your 7th time, and maybe depending on the outcome, we'll see. But if your track record holds fast, it's going to be a pretty exciting race. So for those of you that haven't followed the Red Bull X Alps in the past, the live tracking is amazing, and I have obviously, and many other people have been. So we'll be closely watching you, Chrigel, when it kicks off. If it's okay with you, Chrigel, why don't we have a few people asking some questions? If you don't mind, can I read them to you?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I can answer these questions.
Yeah. The first one from Alex Raymond. Can you see those, Chrigel? Is that?
Yes, about the development.
Yeah, the development of the Omega X Alps 4 and flying it. Yeah.
Yeah. I was inviting more in the Omega X Alps 3. This time there is Patrick von Kennel. He was competing X Alps last time and it's 8. And he's in a development team as well. And like Sepp Iniger and my brother Michael. And they do a good job. So this time I'm not really invited. I was more focused on the X Alps Academy and my stuff. But that was in Mexico for testing in the end of the year, and in Tenerife at the beginning of the year. And that it looks that the Omega X Alps 4 will be a next step. The steps are maybe not too big, but if the performance it's a little bit, or it's visible better, the top speed it's visible better, and also the weight it's even more light. These are small steps, but in generally, if I have a product like this, which is in several steps a bit ahead, for sure it will help. And I not flew the wing yet, but I saw it, and I was with them for testing, and it looks good. And for me, for sure, it's a good motivation. It makes my head more progressive, and because I know that something is coming which is more performant and even more compete for the competition even more better. Also the harness, they worked on a new back protection, on a new design, which is very similar. So we know what we have, but the weight should be more or less. And also for the other people, they build a new harness. The name is Weightless, and it will be on the market in spring, I hope. So it's really a good development in the direction hike and fly equipment, and so it's I think it's really important for all the sport.
Chrigel, is that new harness, is that like an ultralight version of the lightness series?
Yeah, it's a new concept. It's very close to the harness the X-Alps athletes fly, but it's a bit more comfortable with buckles to adjust, and it's a bit more resistant cloth. So it's a more resistant version of the X-Alps, and the weight it's between the race harness and the lightness 3. That's in between, and it looks like a really good product, which is for everybody now, not only for the team. The philosophy is that Advance do several prototypes for the X-Alps athletes in a really light fabric and in a special size for every pilot. This is a huge of effort and work. And for the series, there is another fabric which makes the harness more resistant, but also flexible for the different size, which means it's a little bit heavier, but I guess it's still good. And for me, for example, very good for a training harness. Yeah.
I know a lot of people are really excited for an advanced ultralight harness. It seems like they don't release anything until it's absolutely perfect. So yeah, excited to see that.
Yeah. And then another question was if I trim the wing especially, and there is an option to trim the wing when I join the team, but the team also works very efficient. So I know if once the wing is ready for certifying, and then after the certification, and then it's over. So then the wing it's as good as possible, and not there is not too much to do, which makes the wing more performant. For example, it's the same in the PWC, the CCC wings, like an Enzo 3, like a Boomerang 11. They are very good adjust, and it's very difficult to change something to have a benefit. And the other part is not allowed to change too much. So we have a small tolerance, but it's usually not possible to have a benefit. Also with the speed, the wings are set that they can go as fast as possible. If you want to pull more, you can do this, but you lose that much of performance. Normally it's not more efficient. So in generally, I really liked, or I have to say that when I was young, I was flying prototypes in the competition, and we always tried to get more performance, more speed, more stability, and so on. And when 2012, the rules changed and we have to fly the certified wings, for me, it makes it more easy for me as an athlete, because once I get my wing and then I know it's certified, everything is fine. I not have to trim, I not have to try different things. You know, normally a prototype is, you can make some settings, but after you have just to fly. And to change things means also you can change to a bad direction, and then you know what it's not working. And these flights are not efficient. So I really like to have a wing which is certified, and I know that it's just the perfect trim. What you can do is to check your trim after some hours, especially when the two liners come to 30-40 hours, they go a bit slower. And then it makes sense to retrim a bit to have a good trim speed. But especially with the Omega X-Alps 3, I made 150 hours last year, and I never lost speed or or performance. So I never retrimmed my Omega X Alps 3, but it depends of the glider. Other gliders with different lines or different materials, they lose a bit more, and then you can retrim the trim speed.
That's great. Thank you, Chrigel.
You're welcome. Then another question was, in 2017, we had a 3-liner and then 2-liners. That's because I always says for the X Alps race, I really focused on the adventure and I want to fly an easy wing. The easy wing means that I get more tolerance, that I get a bit more reserve, because I'm really tired after 3 days and I like to have a bit more tolerance from my gliders. And as you know, there was the also on Zeno, which was a 2-liner, which was quite easy. And then there was the Z Alps. And this glider shows that it's possible, or that it should be possible, to have an easy 2-liner. And Advance was, or I was pushing with Advance 2017, 2018, a new 2-liner concept. And then the Omega X Alps 3 was, for me, one of the first very easy 2-liner gliders. And it shows that it can be a good option for the race too, because the feeling to fly fast, or the steering with the B risers, and also the stability of the canopy, it's better with the 2-liners always. And afterwards, also made the Zeolite, and the Zeolite was even more light. It was the lightest high performance hike and fly wing, and it's more light than a 3-liner, and it's also very similar in feeling and safety. And it shows that it's possible to go for a safe way with the 2-liners, with the good feeling, with the good speed. The only problem we know is, in comparing to the good 3-liners in the past, that when we get collapses or cravats with the wires, they are in the gliders, the cravats can be more hard to open, or this is a general problem. Even with the 3-liner in 2015 or 17, the collapses also was an even bigger problem because of the longer wires in the wingtips. And this is a compromise between having performance and stability, and a safe wing which is easy to reopen after collapses. So finally, I think we have this situation, and to learn how to fly, how to reopen a collapse is the best option. This is the answer. And then I go to the next question. My worst flight, or the scary flight I have ever. It's really, really difficult, because I would say that when I was young, I was really pushing. I want to see how it works, and I was often over my limits, over my skills, and I was often not realizing how dangerous it was. I thought it's just normal. And now I see different people, different accidents, and I realize what's a normal flight and what's the normal level. And I can better feel myself how close I go to the limit. And I also try to take less risks, so less often or less hard risks, or I try to reduce my risk to the race, or to situations where I know now I have a benefit. So I think it makes it more safe in general. But I think the most scary time was when I flew prototypes, where we don't know exactly how they work, and they flew, but sometimes when they start to stall, or even in the terminals when you are on the limit, the structure was not clear, and we had not that much experience, and sometimes it was was a bit scary. And after landing, we realized we not have to fly this wing again. And for myself, I was after 16 years, I was in a landing in Wallis. I was with a tandem. After hike and fly, it was no problem visible, and I crashed because I had a think in the end, and it was not flaring. It was not stopping to think, and I crashed. It was a hard landing. I had even harder landings, but this one was not visible, that, or it was not clear to me that it will be a crash. And on this landing, I broke my foot. So it was my only injury I got in 22 years. For sure, it was hard to see that I can have problems like this. And I went to the hospital, and it was 8 months before the X-Alps. The doctor says it's not possible to walk next summer, and it was a really shock and the problem. But then I was working on hardly, and finally it was just working. And for me, it was maybe the landing with the biggest problem after. But I also was in Australia when Eva Wiersneska, the German girl, was stuck in the storm. She went up to 9,900 meters, and she was very lucky to survive. And we was there in this cross-country competition, and we was very close to them too. And for sure, it was really scary. And we realized that it's close and that we have to push to fly away. And this was situations where we realized that paragliding sport can be really dangerous. And now I try to always to move that I'm far away from these problems, but I realize still now that sometimes I go very close. And the problem is the level, because when you start flying, you just want to glide down and enjoy. You also have a safe wing. And when you grow up, you have bigger goals. First, you want a thermal, and in thermals you have turbulences. Then you want to go cross country, and then you go in unlandable fields. Yeah, it's always with the goals connected, how much risk you take. And I think that even if you're a professional, you want to go really fast, you want to go really close, and it makes it even more danger. And also the equipment is more sensitive, less easy to handle, and it makes it more problems. Yeah. Yes, the weightless harness is with the in-flight back, and it looks like all the light harnesses with the inflatable back. For the race harness, we not wish that it have it like this, because we see no benefit. It's just more material to carry, and it's no benefit at all. It's just the optic, the view, which is looks more aerodynamic, but in general it not helps at all. It's just a design. Good. Can you please tell us how you manage your skin? I mean,
Chrigel, I think that's he's asking if you can please tell us how you manage sync other than the speed increase.
during the flight.
How do you differentiate between a sinking line or a thermal up ahead? So I guess trying to choose your route when you're in sync.
Yeah. There are two things. One, it's the experience. So if you fly in the competitions, you have people all around you, and you can see clearly what's the better line. And after several of competitions, you get a better feeling where normally it is better. And then you always can choose if you fly in front and have a good or bad luck, or you go in the back and you can clearly see where the best lines are. So this position you can wish sometimes, and then it's more easy. But if you fly in a cross-country flight or in the X-Alps alone, I choose a line, and then it's a part of mindset. So as long as I say, okay, I try this, and then I have to accept how it is, that helps. So it means it's a 50-50 gamble. You choose the good or the bad line. But the question is not the line you get. The more important question is what you do if you choose the bad. So the plan B after, or I often think about the worst case, the baddest line, what I do after. And as soon as I have this plan B, it doesn't matter which line I choose. So it helps in the line, in the lee or in the thermals. For example, I guess in front is a thermal, and then I go up and continue. Then I also think about what's happened if there is no thermal. Is there another option? Is there another point where I guess there is a better thermal? Then I can go on. If I not have this plan B and it doesn't work, then I have a problem. Normally, until I know or I realize how it works and I know, shit, now I have a problem, until I have a new plan, a new idea, it takes me another minute. And in this time, sometimes it's over. And so I try to think about this plan B always. It means while flying, while gliding, I can think about the next thermals, and while thermaling, I can think about next gliding. So I try to be always a step ahead. And as long I can be in a step ahead with the plan A and the plan B and the plan C and an emergency landing, it gives me the possibility to go really quick from one part to the other. So this my strategy during the flights. And it doesn't matter in a competition or in a free flight or in a training, it's always like this. And when I always think about the options, the best case, the worst case, plan A, plan B, plan C, and I refresh these plans in every change when I got, that makes it more efficient for me. If you're not able to fly enough, question from Dominic, for sure this is a situation where when you work, when you have family, and it's okay. And I think one question you can answer yourself is, what is your goal? What is your flying goal in the year or in generally? And if your goal is really high set, you have to invest a lot. You have to spend time to train, to ground handle, to have hours. If you feel, okay, my hours are not so much, you also have to adjust your goal. You see this? And if you're able to adjust your goal with your skills and your time, then you will be happy. If this is a different, you always get stressed. And the other side, you can maybe get more time for training in close to your home with ground handling. I mean, ground handling, it's almost like flying because you spend time with your material. You get a feeling when the glider is pulling, and it also helps to get a better feeling and better skills in the air. And the other side, if you can fly, if you take your time to fly, maybe you can find goals for the flight which gives you the motivation to fly more hours. So every day you can fly, as soon you find a good goal to fly a little bit more minutes, more flights a day, you will have a better benefit. And then you can adjust, or you can lift your goals also. Hope that helps. And then about walking and enduring training, and about the food. When I was flying a lot, I was not sportive at all. I was 90 kilos, as I told you, and I was not. I was looking to have enough food to have a good wing load to be performant, and then I start walking for the X-Alps, training, and then immediately my weight goes down, and in I don't know, in one part 2011 or 13, I was really wondering how much I can gain with a good diet or a perfect food management. But I was see that when I reduce my calories, that I also lose energy. So I start to think about when I will train and bring performance, I also have to eat as much I can. And for sure, I try to eat a lot of carbohydrates in the morning and less in the evening. Means more proteins and beef, like to compensate, and also eat different things, not only in one direction, to stay healthy. But in generally, or also in the race, I can eat everything I like and as much as possible, because I need so much energy, and it's working like this. To check the weight, to reduce the weight, it's good to have short races, or if you want to race without the weight, means in a mountain running or in a marathon, you can try to reduce your weight, your fat. It will help you. But in an adventure race, it's the opposite. With less weight, you get less reserve, you get more cold, you get more hungry, and you lose performance for sure. This is my experience. So Spätzle and raclette, whatever you like.
Vielen Dank, Herr Maurer.
Genau. To manage my time, it's a big problem. I always like to be everywhere, to spend time with my family, to spend time for flying, for training. But as I said, I traveled a lot before I had family, and then I was more preparing at home and went away for the competitions, like hike and fly adventure races. And yeah, it's always a big deal, but I have a fixed plan over the year. I almost know every day what I do, and so I know exactly how many days I spend for what, and it gives me good advantage or average for everything, and I feel good like this. And then finally, it's all about communication, that everybody knows. See, everyone, trimming is important, and not just for road. What it means exactly, Alex?
There was a discussion, Chrigel, within our club about line trimming or glider trimming just recently. So there was, it was a funny instance, but trimming is very important. We all decided, and you've
Okay.
confirmed that. So thank you.
Yeah. The next question from Simon. Yes, I had some periods where I felt I'm not progressing, and maybe I was also focused on one goal. And finally, I do different disciplines. Like I really like to fly acro in the winter, cross country in the summer, hike and fly in autumn. And with these different disciplines, I always get a progression in the other two. And when I was focused just on the cross country competitions, sometimes I felt stuck, because it was always the same. It's a bit similar with the enduring training or with the gym training, power training. If you do always the same the same kind of training, walking exactly same road with the same speed, you're not able to continue or to make progress. So sometimes you have to change really something in the goal or in what you do, that you can come one step in ahead. I hope this was the question.
Great, thank you.
Chrigel, if I can just jump in for just one second here. If I can ask everybody to please mute your microphones. We're getting a little bit of interference here. If everybody can please mute their microphones. Sorry, Chrigel, thanks.
Thank you. The question about tandem, I do. Actually, because with COVID, it's not allowed to do official tandem flights in Switzerland, but I fly a lot with my family. They like to fly, and when we do ski touring or mountaineering, we also fly back in a tandem. But I also do trainings for other pilots on tandem. I feel it quite comfortable to when other pilots come flying with me, and then we fly together. We set a goal. We talk together. All the views or all the thinkings we can share, and it's a good way to have a learning during the flight. I do around 50 flights in a year. And then about the academy, I think it's a way where we can work with the pilots in a direct way. It means the discipline hike and fly. So we can normally, when you learn to fly, you have to decide in which direction you go. But if you want to improve your enduring skills or your fitness, you have to learn this in another way or in another group. And in the hike and fly with the academy, we can clearly have all these points which play in, can discuss and make trainings like this. It's also a lot of navigation, for example, how to navigate on the ground, what to eat exactly, and risk management in general. So that makes it really makes sense to have it all in one. And we also see the big motivation of all this. We started with a small team when we was starting with 5 pilots. The goal was to have one of these in the X-Alps. So Patrick von Kennel made it. And now we have a pro team and a race team. And in the race team, we take another 25 or 30 young athletes to support them. And we try also to give them the option to keep in contact with the best. So the pro team also try to organize trainings that they can learn from each other, and it will be a good motivation rolling on. The strongest competitors in the next X-Alps, it's always really difficult to answer because almost 50% are new. So I know a little bit the other 50. I know Maxime Pinot. He was second last edition. He is a really good pilot because I flew with him in PwC and World Championship, and he's also a good runner. And he will be with a good team. So he have a world champion as a supporter, and for sure he's really strong. I was competing with him in Born to Fly in X-Pier and also in the X-Alps, and he is also fully motivated. I think it's one of the most important thing. They are newcomers, but as I say, I don't know really what they do, because in one side you can see in Strava, for example, what they do in training, and you can see that they are really strong in running. You can see in X Contest what they did for flights, and it looks brilliant. But what they do in the adventure race, it's another discipline, it's another category, and you never know what they do. And that will be also really interesting to have these newcomers and to see what they're able to bring also with the team, because the team helps more than in other competitions. So your supporter and your team, it's really supporting the athletes, so it can help. But if there is a wrong mood or a wrong communication, it also can break and stress the athlete, and it's the opposite. Yeah, and no. What's next question? My omega is 23. It works well with 90 to 95 kilo. The 22, it's okay with 86 to 88. And the big one, it's okay with 100 to 103. It's always a bit the questions, is it more, what do you like? But to find a good size, it's for sure a good question. The different models, I mean, the different companies have different wings with a clear number of the best weight, but you always have to try it by self. Maybe you can try to take ballast to feel the different when you have 5 kilo more or less, and then maybe in different conditions. I mean, one is soaring, one is flying in acceleration, one it's thermaling, and then you feel immediately what it means to change a bit of ballast. But yeah, I'm lucky that my basic weight is 82 kilo, and it means with the general equipment we have to fly in the X-Alps, it's 92 to 94, and it's the same weight like Patrick von Kennel and other. So the wing, it's made for him, and it works perfectly for me as well. Because in the race like the X-Alps, we try to carry a minimum of equipment for sure, and then it's hard when you're too late. So you have to carry extra water or ballast. It's bad. And finally, I try to learn to fly with my stuff, with my weight, and not to think too much on the optimum on ballast, because it's a problem. The real problem is for the light pilots or for the ladies, they not have really small wings. For example, Yael or Laura, they are really light, and the Zeolite, I think it's the smallest wing on the market in this category, and they are even too light for these wings. And in strong wind or when it's really bumpy, the wing it's not nice anymore in stability and in turns, and for sure they also lose performance if they are too light. And the manufacturer, they know this, but to build a smaller wing, it's not easy, because the smaller ones are losing performance too, and they get more aggressive, and it's even hard to get the certification with the same top speed. And that's why there is no small wings on the market in this category.
Thank you, Chrigel. Do you think that might be a problem for Maxime Pinot, because he is quite small as well?
Yes, but Maxim, he is on a good weight on the smallest wing. So he loses a little bit against me because I have a bigger wing with more weight, but he's on the perfect weight on the small wing. So for him, it's not a big problem. You know that Maxim, maybe it's 70 kilo, but Yael, it's 60 or 85, 58. And it makes it, this 12 kilo makes it different, a big difference in the same wing.
Thank you. I was wondering, on your battles with Maxime in the last X-Alps, if you noticed any advantage for you in performance.
Yeah, there was a small advantage, but I guess because of the wing, because when I compare the Omega with the zeolite in the same weight, same size, the Omega is a little bit better, but the difference is just small. And the Skywalk, the X-Alps 4, was even more better. And the Z-Alps, the old ozone glider from 2017, it was even better. So the Z-Alps was gliding a bit better, but the differences are very, very small. And in an adventure race, it was not a big problem. Now, my body weight, actually, it's 82. So it reduced from 90 to 82. But yeah, I can reduce less than 80, but then I'm not feel comfortable anymore. Yeah.
Thanks a lot.
Welcome. Flying with you in Canada, that will be great. And I hope to travel more when my boys are bigger. We will see if I do for competitions, but also for coaching, for trainings, for presentations. I will travel more. I'm very lucky. I have many questions like this. And at the moment, I stay at home. I enjoy my time with my family, and after we will see. But thank you for inviting.
Chrigel, I would suggest coming in July, August. It's fantastic, and I think you'd have more than a few people here willing to host.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah. About the focused favorite place in Switzerland, Dominic asked, it really depends of the weather. But the good thing is, because of the Alps, you have normally big changes between a small distance of travel. So if you come to Switzerland, you will have a good chance to find a spot with good weather, but depends of the forecast you have to join. And yeah, if you are staying in the pre-Alps, like Lucerne, Engelberg, or Interlaken, Grindelwald, or in my area, you find a lot of places where you can take a share lift and have good structure like takeoffs and landings. And finally, if you want to go cross country in the summer, normally the Valley, it's very good. And it's very famous. You can find all the hotspots in the X contest or in these XC skies, or Where to Fly, the app Where to Fly is a good one. And yeah, for this, I would say the weather is more important than the spot, actually. My idols, it's really difficult, but I see two different ways of sports guy. One guy, they do a sport, they are very good, and at the top they stop because they want to be really good, and then it's over. And the other one, maybe the tennis player Roger Federer, he plays tennis because he likes to play, and now he had a problem with his back, and he was out for a long time, but he come back soon, and he just wants to play. So even when they are good, they stay and they do what they really like. And so Roger, for me, it's like an idol, because even with problem, he tried to come back to have fun in what he do. Okay.
Chrigel, I was just typing this question right now, but I might as well just ask you here. In a recent cross-country article, you mentioned a mistake you made and the king of the air syndrome, which the rest of us probably don't have to worry about. But you mentioned a situation where you had glided out into a valley, and this is on day 3 of last year's Red Bull X Alps, when you had a 40-kilometer lead, and you misread the wind situation and ended up getting in heavy sink. So if you recall that situation, I'm just wondering if you would have done anything differently. And I know this is a very specific situation, so I apologize to anybody else who's not familiar with it. But you kind of mentioned something in the article about you should have stuck to the side of the mountain and just surfed along the terrain versus going out farther into the valley. I'm just wondering if you do remember that situation, if you could have share any thoughts on what you would have done differently.
Yes, I think there was a clear mistake. What I will change is to maybe I was flying and I was thermaling, and then once I was high enough and my instrument shows me the glide ratio, it's less than 10 and it will work for sure in glide. And then I was sure I can reach, and I starts to push. And then it was a ridge, and I flew around, and it was a big sink. It was a lee, and it pushed me down immediately, and I was not able to reach. So I had to land and to walk up and to restart it. It took me an hour. And the mistake was the feeling it will work for sure. So think about paragliding is an adventure, and you never know, and it's never sure. So think about the next step, what you can do, and then you will see. And then the next step, okay. And I think that, or it gives me the clearness or the view that it's never sure, and go step by step, and then it's more safe and more efficient.
Have a plan B.
And the plan B, yeah, for me it was sure it's working to the turn point and not have to terminal again and then not need a plan B. And this was the mistake.
Awesome, thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. So we will continue, but at 7 my boys will come and we will work on. So maybe not too much. One question is about so many competitions. That's true. When I did too much, it was something like not motivated anymore. So my planning for this year is more to have different kind of competitions, and I choose the ones I really like to do, and so I try to keep my motivations all up all the season, and I think this is also important for the young pilots. They always want to compete, and once there is too much, when it's too much, then it's also coming to more danger. So as more you can plan your season, as more safe it is. About the X-Alps, for sure, if you have a more training, if you can train more serious, you can do it more safe, or you also can it enjoy more, and then it's more close that you are gonna win. But in generally you need different skills of an athlete. In one way, I think it's really important to have the flying skills like a PWC pilot, that you can push and still feel comfortable, because the average speed on a day is really important, that you can imagine where to fly, that you can manage to be alone, to have the decision making all the time, the risk management, to push as hard you can, but not too much to be damaged. So this makes it quite a big difference to a normal competition, when the organization says where to fly, where other peoples are around. It makes a big difference, and this you have to train. I think that to fly fast or to launch in difficult conditions, it's also important, but but normally you can fly a little bit slower, or you can choose another takeoff, and then it's not so important. But to be alone and to have these decisions all the time, this is important to train.
And there's just 2 more questions, so I'll ask everybody out of respect for Chrigel's time that we'll limit the questions to what we have here from Dave and Kevin.
That's perfect. So yeah, I think that for me, for example, when I was just flying, or when I flew the competitions, then the skills was important to manage your wing when they collapse in full speed, for example, and to manage how close you can speed on the ridge. But for example, the takeoff or the landing fields, that was always easy. And in the high cut fly competitions, it was the opposite. Normally, it was always to have a good takeoff, or to have the skills to launch on a difficult place, to land on a really small spot. It gives you a lot of possibilities, and it makes it more efficient in the hike and fly race. So there was a new field for me to came to a better pilot. And then generally the hike and fly competitions, or this hike and fly discipline, makes it that the athlete can be more complete, but also a manufacturer like Advance, they made more gliders or more products to spend it out to more pilots. So I feel that it was a really win-win situation for the sport to have this new discipline, these new races. And XALPS is the biggest, but we also have 10 or 11 hike and fly competition in Switzerland. There are several in Austria and Germany, and all these kind of competitions are different. I mean, if we have the World Cup, the PWC, or the World Championship, it's always the same. We have the same in Switzerland with the Swiss Cup, with the Swiss Championship, but it's the same since 95, and the only thing what's changed was the GPS navigation and the glider improvement. But the hike and fly gives much more possibilities and ways to grow up. It was the question, or from Dave?
Yeah, definitely. I think that nailed it, Chrigel. Thanks.
Yeah, my boys, they are interested to fly for sure, and we was not pushing them too much, because we thought they have to understand that something else is important in the life than just flying. They had to wait until 4, until I took them to the tandem flights. They wanted to fly before for sure, but we say, okay, you have to wait until your 4th birthday. And I already let them fly by themselves. I let them play on the ground handling, or I was pulling them a bit like a kite. So they flew 2 meters in the wind. You can play with the boys in flying in the air, and then they can do mistakes and nothing happen. Things like this, they are very interesting. But I also push them to do different sports, for example, biking or skiing or ski touring or running. Actually, they go to unihockey playing and team sport. They play with the friends in schools. So this is, for me, it's more important. And they are 10 now. And I think if they come to an edge to 15, when they are allowed to fly officially, then they have to decide by self if they want to do or not. And if they like, for sure, I will help them, but I try, it's not the best sport to push. really, because they have to find the motivation by self. But in general, we have so many options, so many possibilities that it's not easy to find what you want to do. It's the same for me. I can do. I was also flying hang glider for 3 years. I was interested to fly sailplane. I went some tandem flights. It was very beautiful, and I did some skydive jumps, and I thought to learn to base jump, to fly wingsuit. So it's so many options, but finally I realized as more things I do, as less good I can do. And then I focused on the paragliding sport. I even do 7 disciplines in paragliding, maybe speed riding as well, so 8. And it's even too much. So it's better to focus on one. And my focus now it's hike and fly. And in hike and fly, I even have the performance wing, the P, the small mountain wing, and the tandem, and the speed gliders. I have 4 equipments to do hike and fly. It's even too much to be comfortable in one, and to focus in one way or in a small group of way. I think it's important to me and also for the young pilots, because otherwise you do everything a little bit but nothing really good. Yeah,
that's amazing, Chrigel, and I want to be mindful of your time. So we are incredibly thankful for you to share your expertise and all your knowledge with us. I know when I originally reached out to you, I wanted to try to increase the amount of knowledge transfer from the Alps, Switzerland, Austria, Germany, Italy. There's so many great pilots, and I thought who best to reach out to, and then obviously you're at top of the list. So I'm super thrilled that you gave the time, and I've been keeping an eye on donations that have come in, and we're doing pretty well. So we're really excited at the from the club to support you for the next edition of the X Alps. And you can be certain that there will be many pilots who will be following you when the time comes from here in Vancouver, Canada. And as is being mentioned, if you ever can get over here, we do have some really good flying sites in the summertime. So you'll have a great reception, and you'll be really well hosted. And a retrieve. Not that you would ever need a retrieve to get back somewhere, but if you do, there's many here.
Cool. Nice to hear. And bigger pressure. I tried to do it as good as possible. To me, I know it's a new race. It's an adventure, so I never know exactly what happened. The only thing I can do now is to have a good preparation, to get a good feeling, and to stay healthy, because preparation also means pushing more and more, pushing the progression, pushing the daily moves, and it also means in paragliding, and it's always a risk. And to be healthy on the start, it's the first goal, and then it starts on the first day, and then it's step by step. And the first day, it's important to not do a mistake. So move slowly, move smart, walk with the others, make everything good. So means eating a lot constantly. And then on the second day, you're into the race, you feel better how it works. And then after the day 3 or 4, you can try to start to push. And after halfway, I hope it's Switzerland. Depends of the situation. When they open the border, actually all the borders are closed because of the COVID. You have to bring a negative test and quarantine. So during the race, it will not work. But so I try to come into the race, and then I hope after half of the distance I can still push, and then to do the difference in the air when I can fly. this my strengths, and not to push too much on the ground, because my body, it's not bad, but it's also not like Toma Coconeo. He was showing us how to push really, but also he gets pain. I know this, and I want to be in the goal in Monaco without destroying my body completely. And so to keep the fun, to be ready for another competitions in July and August, and yeah, finally to make a new good experience, to learn about myself, about our team. And these are many goals which helps me to stay motivated, to focus on the important things. And I'm very lucky because I won already, so I not have the pushing of winning the race really. And I hope like this it's possible to enjoy the race. Hey, thank you very much for spending the time and enjoying your evening, and I wish you all the best during your flights and your goals. Maybe you also have goals like Monaco. Go step by step. Yeah, and thank you very much, James, to organize it. It's always important to have someone local, which makes it possible to come all together. And with the online, with this Zoom meeting, it's possible to jump over long distances.
Absolutely. Thank you, Chrigel. And there's a lot of people posting thank yous in the chat box. And yeah, it's one of the silver linings of the pandemic is that, you know, it pushes us to do these things that are not conventional, and otherwise these things may not have happened. So thank you for joining us in the West Coast Soaring Club, and best of luck for the upcoming X-Alps 2021.
Thank you very much. Yeah, so I have the day in front of me. It's still dark, but you go to bed, I think. It's funny.
Thanks for waking up so early.
Yeah, no problem. It was a pleasure. For training, I also go often in the morning, and during the race, you know, I start at 5, so even more early every day. Sometimes I can't believe what we did and what we have to do now next summer. But when you're into the race, it's normal. It's daily business, and with the motivation, it's no problem.
Will it be less than 10 days this year?
Nah, I guess they will do a more difficult route.
Yeah.
So plan for 12 days. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Chrigel.
Yeah, thank you too. And thank you everybody for supporting us. And I wish you all the best. Good night. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you so much, Chrigel.
Have a good one. Dag, hè, Chrigel.
Merci. Merci vielmals.